This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with Violent Gentlemen. We're back with the main man, Tiernan Bradley.
How's it going? How are
Always
you?
fantastic yourself.
All good, all good.
Funny, the last time we spoke, I think I'd sort of put a post up yesterday to say we were going to be speaking. I think we spoke 26th of September, and you had yet to make your debut. Probably like a
Yeah.
trivial pursuit question. How many times do you think he's fought since? So 4-0 in 6 months. You obviously couldn't probably ask for a better start.
Yeah. That was 26th September. We were chatting. I had my debut then. What was it, like 14 days later, 2 weeks later?
8th of October, aye.
And then that was in Poland. Won first round KO. Meant to fight in November, but had a little bit of a shoulder injury. So it would have been out as quick as I would have been just straight out then, but I had a little shoulder injury that held me up for a few weeks. And I started back the middle of November. Had another fight in December 21st.
20th, close.
20th.
We'll take the time
20th.
difference. We'll take it as a different day.
And then that was in Spain. Had a nice Christmas with my family, and then back out again in February 19th.
20th. You're
20th.
Going the opposite way now.
Sometimes you kind of say what the weigh-in date was, because
Yeah.
the first battle, first battle is the weigh-in date, and like that February date was actually a battle for my weight as well, because I made 64 for that fight, which is my lowest. It was my lowest weight in almost 5 years. You know what I mean? I hadn't made that weight since I was in Australia with Tony Brown and Wayne Kelly. So yeah, I made that 64 kg. The fight was meant to be at 63 and a half, but we just said, look, we'll make it 64 because it's not for a title, like, and I'll be put down as a super lightweight. And so I made the 64, made it relatively easy as well. I could have made the 63 and a half if I wanted to. And then the next fight, we were meant to fight a guy. Oh yeah, we were meant to fight Georgie Mitsy Jr. Who was a well-known Hungarian journeyman, but before, like, he's only like 26 years of age, but he's fought for the European title. I think he won the European title at lightweight or something like that. But like, he's spending his days now up at welterweight, super welterweight, fighting fellas. Like, he's fought Dylan Moore and Noel Murphy and stuff like that. But he couldn't make like anything below like 66. So we said, sure, we'll just leave it. And then we ended up fighting Frank Hafner. But the thing was, we couldn't get anybody then at that weight. Like, we couldn't get anybody lower than 66. And the only fella we got was for Ryan O'Rourke, because Ryan made under 65. But like, I wanted a really good somebody that's gonna come and give me a really tough fight. Like, so I walked in there like 66 kilo. I made the weight easy. Like, I was eating that morning. I had more or less like a bottle of water before I weighed in, and it was 66.4. And my opponent came in at like 67. But yeah, your guy Frank Hafner he's well above, like, he's well gone the past that any boxer should be fighting at. Like, he was 45 years of age, but at the same time, I thought he was going to be dangerous, because he went in with Andy Lee. He caught Andy Lee a few good shots in the first round. Andy Lee obviously was taking the piss out of him, dropped him in the second round, and then I was over. And he fought Rocky Fielding when he was 11-0. So like, that's the weights that he was fighting at.
He's coming down and weight more over the edge now.
Exactly. You know what? To be fair, like, he was in great nick for the age of him, like. But yeah, fought Frank Hafner, stopped him then in the third round. But like, the ring was that small in Belgium. It was like fighting in a phone box. Like, And with me having a long reach, I could have hit him from where I was standing in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I couldn't not miss him whenever I got punching him. So yeah, it just came easy, and then just offloaded a flurry of shots, and away he went. And then the bell was gone. The referee called it off, and now I'm sitting here 4-0.
It's crazy, you know, because obviously the last time we spoke, we were sort of, you know, September, we were sort of talking about obviously your brother Callum and stuff as well, and him being 4-0, and you obviously not in the debut. Obviously for Callum, probably, I know he's not been able to get fights and stuff recently with the whole pandemic and
Yeah,
things, but he's sort of looking at it now and going, Tiernan's 4-0 here as well, you know. You know, it just goes to show you, I guess, sometimes Connor's obviously been doing amazing work and getting his out. You know, he's had fighters out at least
yeah,
once a month. But obviously Connor's obviously been tasked, you know, with helping these. Obviously, probably not just Connor. It's probably down to the sponsors you have been able
yeah.
to get these fights. But obviously now both you and Tiernan are 4-0. Sorry, you and Callum are 4-0.
Uh,
Probably Callum's going. The time he comes back in the action, he'll be playing catch up with you again.
well, not really, because Callum's only 22 years of age. Like, and if you look
Mm-hmm.
at it as an age thing, you know, when I was 22 years of age, I was still probably sitting looking down the pint of a Guinness glass, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the Callum hasn't stopped. He hadn't stopped training. Like, he's probably been training as much as me or harder, and he hasn't had a fight. And you know, Callum obviously joined the Rocks gym there recently, and he's moved down. And you know, he comes down 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And like the first session used to be sparring, the second session is usually pads with Stephen or school boxing or something like that. And then other days, like he's training himself. So, like imagine, you know, it's very like I can't imagine training by myself now, like because
Mm-hmm.
I've been around the lads, like, and everybody pushes you hard. Whereas Callum, like, he has to get up, in the mornings and do his sessions here at the house, and obviously the gym's there, like, but he has to get up and do it himself. So it can be difficult motivation wise. You know, to do it on the Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends. So he's been training very, very hard. Like, you should see him in sparring. He's a totally different animal. Like, and for a lad that's going to be a featherweight, you know what I mean? Like, he's sparring guys there that are super feather, like big guys that are challenging. Like, he's sparred Kikachi one day, and he was sparring even Sean Duffy. He's sparring Little John Cooney.
Little John Kinney.
Yeah. So he was sparring John Cooney and stuff, and he was even sparring Victor Rabbi the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And like Callum's gonna be huge for the weight, and he's gonna be very, very strong for the weight. I don't think anybody's really, and he's really slick as well. Like, see when he wants to turn it on, like he can turn it on. It's been a pleasure being able to watch him spar again, because I hadn't been able to watch him spar for ages.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because obviously when he went away sparring, like I was down in Dublin. You know, the only time I got to see him spar was either on the other side of a camera, like, or what that he showed me in a video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was it. Like, so it was good to watch him even live.
And obviously, I know from obviously with Callum on a few weeks ago, and you know, he started saying, you know, it made sense to come down. He obviously seen with Stephen and everything else done by yourself, and you know, going out. I think was it out to Spain. I think maybe in February or so. He obviously
Yeah.
had a couple of sessions stuff with Stephen, and I thought, well, it makes sense to go out. You know, obviously it brings the two of you sort of back together. I think we'd sort of mentioned before of the two of you potentially fighting in a show in the future, so
Yeah.
keeps that bond together. Like, you know, they always say a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, you know, all the stereotypes sort of have, but like a stable in a works gym, everybody's getting regular fights. There's plenty of crack and banter there. It's probably the best thing that could probably happen for Callum at this stage.
Ah, yeah. Like I remember even before Callum moved down, like I said him, because you honestly, you wouldn't believe the amount of tax that Stephen gets every single day about people wanting to join his gym,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and become a pro boxer and stuff like that. And I said to Callum, I was like, Callum, you need to get in here quickly, because, you know, your space could be, even though Callum's an accomplished professional fighter, like, I said, Callum, you need to get in here quickly, because, you know, your space could be filled up. You know what I mean? Another guy could come along. And But the only thing is that the only reason I think Stephen said before that he wasn't taking anybody on, and I just turned around and said to Stephen, "Oh, Callum wants to come down." This was after the Spain trip, kind of thing, and Stephen loves him. Like Stephen thinks the world of him. Like, he's a brilliant fighter, and Stephen says, of course, obviously, he's your brother. Like I would love to have him in the gym. Like it's family at the end of the day.
Exactly. Probably wouldn't want to be left with the ultimatum and going, well, if you don't bring my brother, I'm not coming. Where you play the old mind game tricks and you're going, well, if he can't come, I'm maybe going to have to look for another gym. And you start playing a game sort of, but you're never going to do that. Obviously, that's not the makeup of you. If Callum can't get in, he just has to go somewhere else. But it's good, obviously, the two years are back together working in the same gym.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's Callum, like, the vibe of O'Rourke's gym. Like, he loves Stephen as a coach. He thinks he's got a lot to bring into Callum's game, like. But at the end of the day, Callum didn't just choose O'Rourke's just because of Stephen. He chose O'Rourke's because of the vibe that we bring, like, and the atmosphere that we have in the gym. Like, everybody wants to bring each other on, gives each other tips, and there's no animosity in sparring. Everybody's touching gloves, giving each other a bit of advice at the end of the spar and stuff. So Callum obviously loves that. Like, he loves to be able to better himself. Like, being there with lads that not that are better than him, but people that are going to bring him on, make him think. And
a lot more fighters who probably see them doing different things because they always say that the thing about learning something is obviously you can either learn it by somebody saying it, by somebody writing it, or actually seeing it in action. So if he's seeing somebody doing something, he might go, like actually what he does there when he's throwing the uppercut or when he's trying to move out. You learn something off of every boxer at any level.
But the thing is, like, I'm even learning off Callum. Just because I haven't seen him spar in a good way. And you see, we can't think of Callum as well. Like, he's a very he's a high IQ fighter. Like, he can switch and change and throw feints and throw from anywhere. So when I'm sitting there watching him spar, I'm I'll be in next Thursday. Say I'm sparring next with the lads in O'Rourke's Keen or something. So I'll look in the ring and watch him do something, and then I'll do it myself. Like, and I'll say to him after, I go, "Did you see me trying the thing that you do all the time?" So it's good. It's good to have that. You know what I mean? And even things that obviously I do, Callum will try and pick up because Callum's always been a slick fighter, but you should see him now on the inside. Like, his inside work has come on leaps and bounds. It's working with Stephen, and being able to put his combinations together, and being able to hold his feet on the inside instead of that whole amateur kind of bouncing on your toes. Like, he's a solid fighter. Like, now he's really becoming an all round fighter.
And we haven't started having just done this in the way to big Callum up. They obviously getting back out and fight news, but obviously for any sort of fans, it just probably he's done a lot behind closed doors when he does come back in the action. Somebody will go, crikey, there's Callum Bradley. It's just it's like a rebirth. We've had him 4-0 before the pandemic, and then they come back and people go, crikey, we need to match him better here, or people need to sit up and take notice more.
Honestly, you will see. I don't think people will kind of look in the ring and think, who's that fighter? You know what I mean? The who's that fighter? Because even though they've probably already seen him on shows before, Callum just kind of looked like an amateur, that had just turned over. But now, like, that year that he's had, his first fight is going to be, I reckon it'll probably be a stoppage or a knockout because of all the frustration he's had in the first year. He's going to look like a totally different animal. Like, you should see how strong he is, how rock solid his legs are now, and his punching power. And the thing is, it's impressive as well. Like, even though his punching powers went up, his hand speed stayed the same. Like, it's funny because some of the lads will say to the lads, like, say if Callum's born, and I'll say to the other lads, you might get in the inside of him, make him work. You know what I mean? But then Callum just kind of dips his legs solid, and then uses his hand speed. And he might have got like 4 or 5 punches off before the other fella might have thrown 2.
Mm.
And then he's gone. You know what I mean? Or he'll move, make the angle, and stand there, and then throw another 5 or 6 punches. And you might need. It's like, I don't know. It's scary, the hand speed that he's got. Like, and with 16, that's with 16-ounce gloves on.
Mm.
So you can just imagine him with 10 or 8-ounce on.
Be frightening. He's obviously learning from his icon or his legend. Obviously, he calls it Canelo. Obviously, the same as your dog. You know.
Yeah.
So he's obviously,
Exactly.
because probably, people have obviously their opinions on Canelo, everything else, taking the drugs test, blah, 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 whatever. But it's frightening to see that probably, other than yourself, probably in the last 6 months, Canelo's going into his third fight, and he's, 50-odd fights as a pro. But I think I've seen an article the other day where he said at 30 years of age, he feels like he's in his prime after like so many fights, but he's keeping himself busy and he's getting better as he's going, which is frightening. So Callum's obviously learning good tips off and must be watching loads of videos.
I will exactly like. I wasn't a big fan of Canelo. I watched him, and Callum was a massive fan of him before the Mayweather fight.
Mm.
And then when the Mayweather fight happened, Callum was still a massive fan. Like, Callum says he was going to come back and stuff, and rightfully he did. Like, he came back and fought so many champions. Even with the Lara fight and Cotto and Trout and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and he's had so many tough, massive fights. You can't deny him. Like, it's been one of the greatest ever at this point. And I think people only are really acknowledging his boxing now. So, like, if you take a look at like, he learned a lot through that Mayweather fight. You take a look at the feints that he throws now to set up his combinations for his shots. Like, he feints out here to throw like a left uppercut so that he can bring the hand kind of up. So, like, he'll throw a jab to the head, right hand to the top of the temple, and then he'll go feint jab, and then they throw that up, which obviously makes him kind of throw that hand up here high. And then he throws that uppercut up through the middle, kind of the shot that he stopped Angulo with. And like, that's even stuff that me and Callum's been working on, like kind of like the feints, not just the sort of amateur feint where your hands here or your feet stamp on the ground or your head or something like that. It's being able to go throw it up there, make him think as anything's happened. Even if you take a look at the Pacquiao knockout of Hatton, Pacquiao done that as well. He kind of went like this, and he kind of just brought that hand away here. Then Hatton A-line just kind of came off on that hand, and then it was just that kind of half step back hand straight down to the middle, and away he went. So like those are the things that we're really picking up on in professional boxing, is just breaking things down, taking traits from other fighters and bringing them into our own game, and even just not neglecting our own game. Like, obviously we're working on our weaknesses and trying to build them, but not neglecting our strengths at the end of the day as well.
And I know obviously in the lead up, obviously Carl Frampton obviously fighting Jamal O'Hare, and he was watching quite a lot of Canelo, because when somebody's doing so much as what Canelo's doing and keeps getting better, you have to obviously look and see what he's doing, particularly a lot of his body punches now. You've probably never seen Canelo target the body probably as much as he does now.
Exactly. I think it's because he's starting to fight bigger guys, taller guys. So you take a look at the Kovalev fight. Most of the stuff that he was doing, he was standing right in front of Kovalev, obviously letting Kovalev kind of move around the ring with a jab. And he was keeping that high guard, and then waiting for Kovalev to throw a lazy jab, and he was slipping on the inside of his jab and throwing a left uppercut to the body or left hooks to the body. And he was obviously changing his levels with his legs, bringing his level down, so that Kovalev had to kind of punch down at his shots. So that's going to create the opening up top. So then he's going to obviously explode what Tyson used to do, and not as much as Tyson, but explode off his back legs and come up with the shots.
cut the
but
body down and the leg and the arms will fall with it.
exactly. But look what he done to, was it Callum Smith's arm?
Mm.
I mean, the amount of shots that, the amount of friggin' left hooks that he must have hit Callum Smith in the arm, like, to do that damage. It's scary, like, you know. Imagine if he had caught him in the liver or in the ribs, like, yeah, that's scary.
Definitely is.
So,
So for yourself, obviously, 4-0, obviously in 6 months. Is it probably fair to say you've really picked up the bug for boxing again? Because obviously, you were out of boxing a few years. Everybody's sort of talked about obviously your sparring and things with McGregor, and you sort of fell out of love sort of with the sport in a way. Is it fair to say that obviously in O'Rourke's gym and everything that's going on, that probably you're as much love with the boxing again now as you probably ever have?
oh yeah, of course. Like, at the end of the day, like, I just want to stay active now. Like, I just don't want a massive spells out of the ring, because I know if kind of have a massive spell out of the ring, I'll kind of go to the wayside. Not mentally, but physically as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm the type of guy where I put on weight very quickly, so I have to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
My metabolism just isn't as quick as some of the fighters out there. So like I've said in a few interviews before, like, for me to get that weight down, I had to maybe train 3-4 times a day, along with a really strict diet. So at the moment, for me to maintain my diet, like, I obviously have to train twice a day as well. Like, it may not be as hard
Mm-hmm.
or as tough, just because I might injure myself, but I have to train. Like, even on days off, like, I'll have to do over 30,000 steps. Like, you'll go for a run or go for a walk, just to kind of keep my weight down and stuff.
And because you're
So
probably in such a calorie deficit as well, obviously that's what brings on injuries a lot more, because you don't have the food to sustain the bones, so to speak.
exactly. Well, the good thing is, I work along with a guy called Ryan Quinn in our bow,
Mm.
LS Results, and he has he does my meals. So, like, he sends me out meals at the start of the week, and so, like, that's one of the things where I can keep on top of of my uh my calories. Really good macros as well, like high proteins. It's got my carbs in there from training as well, and good fats. And it also gives me, like, I'm not a bad cook as well, like, but at the end of
Mm.
the day, sometimes you can't be standing there in front of a cooker 24/7 trying to cook your food, like, some, like, and the good thing is they're tasty meals. You know what I mean? Like, it's chicken curry and peri chicken with rice and peri chicken with veggies and stuff like that. So it feels like you're eating a really nice meal that that you've got out of Chinese, you've got out of a chippy or something like that.
Mm.
But it gives you that kind of dopamine feeling of getting a takeaway, but you're staying to your diet. And he was looking after my diet for that fight in Spain, where I made the super lightweight.
Mm.
And he looked after everything there. And I was just down to a T, like, he had me eating right up until the weigh-in for that fight, and, like, he had me eating cod, like, two fillets of cod, like, the night before. Whereas before, to make 64 kilo was killing myself. You know what I mean? I had a sweatsuit going to sleep. You know what I mean? So it's good to have people like that backing me and on board.
Particularly because obviously, when you're training 3 or 4 times a day, the last thing you're going to be like, even somebody at a 9 to 5 job coming home and bothered to cook something, going, what will I cook? If you're something so handy, you throw it in the microwave and it's ready for you. You can enjoy and relax and recover probably as much as possible.
Exactly. I love cooking. You know what I mean? I do love cooking different things, like, but my way of cooking is very unhealthy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I usually throw on a good bit of salt that it shouldn't be needed, and a little bit of butter to cook the stuff, and you know what I mean. Like, I
Mm.
just add in an unnecessary stuff. So it's good to have things that are properly counted calorie wise and macro wise. That's just sitting in the back of a packet, and you can just scan it and put it into MyFitnessPal or something like that.
Definitely is. And obviously then weight wise then Are you looking to stay at super lightweight? Are you hoping to get down to 135?
We were talking about going down to 135, just at how easy it was making super lightweight. You know what I mean? Or how easy it was going to make super lightweight. Obviously, I weighed 64 flat weight, but I could have easily just the day before went out for a run and lost that 0.5. Like, but no, like I'll see how we get on with super lightweight at the moment. I know because every time I kind of come down in weight, not that my frame shrinks. It's just I need to make sure that my performance is right as well. So like some people be like, oh yeah, you'll definitely make lightweight. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I was fucking sorry for my language there, but I was 97 kilo about a year ago, so maybe just kind of give me time to
blend in.
kind of get used.
It's not like you need to make it in a rush, you know, until you're obviously challenging for titles and things like that. You're in no rush to make the weight yet.
Yeah. So we're kind of saying, sure, why don't we maybe make like 62.5 or something like that, and see how we get on there. Like, but this is the time where I can experiment in that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, over my next 5 fights, it'll bring me up to 9 or 10 in a row. This is where I can experiment with my weight and maybe not be worried about whether my performance is right.
You know, and sort of, you know, probably not the sort of nitpick or things like that, but probably, you know, using an example of Sean McComb, obviously quite a lot of his fights were at 140, and obviously then when the fight that probably mattered, you know, his first fight at lightweight, you know, not making excuses obviously for him, you know, he's beaten, you probably say he's beat with a better man, whatever, but probably lost, you know, a bit of the punch resistance and things like that, and just the energy probably they would have had before, whereas it sort of went down, you know, 137, 136, and then got the title weight, whereas that extra £5 just from one fight to the next probably showed a difference in it in a way.
Yeah, that £5 honestly it can make a massive difference, like, because you know, if you're losing £5 of water weight, like, you know, that plays a massive factor in your brain, your reaction time, and even getting hit as well. Like, you know, if there's not, say, like your head is swell. You think your head swells, so like if you're lost so much weight, your head swells, and it doesn't take the impact as much. You know what I mean? So, and then after you get hit with concussions and stuff like that, it's just not good. You know what I mean? And it's not good for boxing at the end of the day. Like, you know, people have to look at, like, the boxers have a duty to look after themselves and make weight right. Because if anything happens to them, it's not obviously that detrimental to them. You know, it's detrimental to the world of boxing at the end of the day, because like people don't want another death in their hands. You know, you look at that chef that died. You know what I mean?
It must be coming up, I think, 2 years now. I think it'll be coming up 2 years now since he passed away.
But that's a massive thing that plays in boxers' mind. Like, you know, at the end of the day, when they're sparring, they're doing heavy sparring. The mind isn't as sharp just because they're getting heavy shots day in, day out. Like, sometimes in big, like saying 10, 12 round fights, you know, you're doing 10 round fights maybe twice a week or maybe 3 times a week in camp with three different fresh partners. Sometimes that can take a massive factor on you as well. Then sometimes you just sit back and look, is it all worth it? But boxers can't afford to think like that. You know, at the end of the day, they're putting their lives in.
I think the sport's evolving so much. Obviously, you know, years ago, probably, you know, when the likes of Mike Tyson, stuff like that, you know, probably boxers were not sticking to diets, probably out drinking and everything else, probably doing all the wrong things. Whereas the sport's now evolved so much where obviously if your diet, your strength and conditioning, you know, and so many factors. And and obviously Paul Ryan, I think on the other day, and obviously saying, you know, about the amount of sparring, you know, Carl Frampton's probably one of the most famous ones we probably know of, where when he left McGuigan's gym, he probably said he overdone the sparring, which was taking years off his boxing life and not enjoying it, where he cut it down to, I think, about 25% of what that was, because he really knew it all. You know, there's no point killing your body by all that damage when You know all to put in the ring.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, you know, I've been doing a lot of sparring with guys that are heavier than me as well. Like, you know what I mean? Sparring McKean McMahon there at the moment, just to kind of get him ready. He's hoping to have a fight soon. Get him back in the swing of things. Like, and it's been over maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years for him since his last fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good to see him back in the ring. But even with him, like, you know, he's a big puncher as well, and he likes to sit on the inside. You know, and with me coming down a weight, it's hard, like, you know, to kind of not take, just absorb kind of punches as well against the bigger guys. And then even sparring Tony Brown as well, like, kind of to keep him sharp as well. Obviously, you know, probably not going as hard as on me, like, but like, he's super middle, like, but he's got the frame of a light heavy, you know what I mean? He's a big guy, so I'm getting in sparring him and stuff. But your capability to absorb shots against them bigger guys is, it's crazy, especially when you're sitting around 69 kilo, like, you know, it's crazy.
It's definitely look for the shoulder moving and sort of run. You know, run backwards, but keep your eye on them.
No, I think when you're fighting guys like that, you kind of keep as close to them as possible so that they can't load up their punches, because at the end of the day, people, like, it's the swing that you can get them punches that are going to hurt you. I mean, if you're sitting on the inside of them, they can't get that swing in their punch to kind of catch you. So you get on the inside, you kind of tie them up and work on the inside.
Calling names in their ear. Ha, you can't hit me.
I know, or even just kind of, or even kiss them or something, kiss them in the back of the
neck. Obviously, I seen an Irish boxing article where you sort of been eyeing up some opponents, and probably that was the reason why I sort of mentioned lightweight. I think you sort of mentioned, you know, sort of laying up a couple of Americans, and obviously, well, Irish-based Americans and American-based Irishmen. I'll get that right. Larry Fryers and Noely Murphy. I guess obviously with O'Rourke's gym, and obviously Connor Slater and stuff linked a lot with Star Boxing, and obviously when the pandemic was back to normal, I guess it's probably an easy comparison for you to go, what Irish boxers out in America can fight. Is that probably the basis probably of that?
Well, exactly. Like, you know, them two guys are obviously, they're based out of America or out of New York, and Nolly's already had a lot of friggin' fantastic big fights in New York. You know, you take a look at, was it Jose Vargas he fought in Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's done really well for himself to get on them big shows, especially around St. Paddy's Day and stuff like that. So, like, why not try and get on like an all Irish kind of fight? You know what I mean? Or even Larry Fryers as well. I've seen he just teamed up with Wayne McCullough recently out in Vegas, but like Larry's had a lot of big fights as well. Like, you know, he's fought in Vegas a few times, you know, when he had a fight fall through. But like, these guys are game guys, like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, they want these fights as well. You know, with me kind of I didn't really call them out. I just kind of, it's more like me asking them, they want to fight in St. Paddy's Day, like, you know what I mean? That'll be unbelievable. Like, it's every fan's dream. Like, at the end of the day, who, like, if I was to go in there and win, is it really a lose situation for them? You know what I mean? Like, it's every Irish fighter's dream to fight on front of a crowd at Madison Square Garden, or in front of all Irish crowd, or the all Irish American crowd. You know what I mean? Like, you know how crazy that they can get. So, like, even if they get beat, it's a win situation for them, because they're going to get paid well, and they're going to get massive exposure out of it as well.
And it's another Irish fight. They obviously drowning the Americans sort of and going, we love the Irish. You know, if they can't say it enough, they say it even more.
It gets your name out there, like, and if you fight well, you know, they're going to love you. They're going to go to your fights again, because you're going to fight. They're going to find you entertaining.
And it's not that I'm sort of looking to, you know, it's not never my nature to sort of look for something you to say, to go, Tiernan Bradley's calling out, you know, Larry Fryers and things like that, because I'm not going to do that, because it's your interview and it's unfair just to tag something else in it. But obviously, just that comparison was thinking where you were linking that and going, when the pandemic's over, you'd like to fight in America.
We'll see about that, because, you know, I've had a few offers fellas in Europe and the UK, so
Mm-hmm.
I mightn't be able to get out there. At the end of the day, I mightn't be allowed to get out there. Not allowed, but might have to fight here for a while before I get to fight in America. So I think we're kind of weighing up a lot of our options at the moment.
And obviously you had a bit of a, well, there wasn't really much of a back and forth. We've obviously had Stephen Webb on with us since, and he sort of said that he called you out because he's at the stage now he can't sell tickets and everything else, so he called you out. And I think then he'd probably seen more clips of you, and then he's went, "No, I don't want to fight him." So I think he sort of wasn't doing it in a bad taste. I think we put a post up to say about it. And then obviously he's then corrected it since to say, "Look, I'm an away fighter now, so I have to call out fighters to get a fight." But
Yeah.
I thought it was probably touching for him, probably to say, you know what, probably it's the wrong decision to call out somebody like Tiernan because probably blew me away.
Yeah, well, like I'd seen his interview, and he spoke very well. And he owned up a lot of it, to a lot of the stuff that has surrounded him for a good while. And you have to give respect to a fella like that, what he's came through and stuff like that, to where he is today, and he just wants to make it. He just wants to make something for himself. And you can't bash anybody. You can't bash somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully that he can get back into his one of ways and get back on top of the horse, like he's calling out some of the guys that are in the stable. And that could be good as well. You know what I mean? It's like with the guys at Irish Boxing, you can put on an all Irish show or even a all Belfast show with him and Owen O'Neill.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fantastic. Fantastic for Owen to get the win, and it'd be fantastic for Stephen to get the win. And it's a win-win situation for Irish Boxing at the end of the day because they have both fighters.
Mm-hmm.
If I was promoting Stephen Webb, I wouldn't be throwing him in with anybody outside their stable. You know what I mean? Because if he loses, it's a lose situation for them anyway. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So if they can put him in with somebody in his in their own stable, it'll be a win-win situation for them. Like, and then even if he does win, like, it's fantastic. You know what I mean?
And sort of now you're sort of, I guess more and more interviews coming out, more and more fights. You're probably going to get to the stage where people's going to start name dropping you more. Have you sort of prepared yourself in advance? Not that we're sort of saying it different ways, but obviously you probably shared a good lot of time with Conor McGregor. He obviously is probably the king of obviously putting people down in sort of them ways. But if you sort of, when you're younger and you go, I want to be famous and I'm older, and you get an A4 thing and you start writing your autograph down, is it sort of something you've been prepared for to go, I'm going to get to this stage where people's going to start calling me out, they're going to call me name because they know I'm obviously I'm a highly rated prospect, I'm going to do good in the game, but they want to call you out to better themselves in a way as well?
Oh yeah, that'll happen at the end of the day. That'll happen, but I think whenever that comes, like, if they're gonna bring the heat and start talking about me, I'll start bringing the heat. No, but at the end of the day, I'm not the type of fella to get like it. I'll get inside their head whenever I hit them with the first punch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting. I don't like. I'm not the kind of guy to be giving any name calls or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, when the time comes, I'll put them on their ass. But at the same time, I'm not the type of guy to be slabbering here and there on social media. Like, I'll do my talk on the inside of the ring. Obviously, if a fight needs to be sold, I'll sell it. Whether I have to kind of throw a few digs in there, or if I know about somebody, I'll throw in a bit of a secret that's been out there.
I heard you get dropped in sparring, or the old
exactly. Like, that's all the things that are that's all the things that I've learned off Conor, is just sit back and let other people talk before, and then sit back and go, all right, I've done my research on you. Here's what I know about you, and they quickly shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, who else to learn from than the master of back talk? Like,
it's mental. You could sit all day today watching stuff he said and things and going legendary, and you probably forget a lot of them as well. You know, it's like
Yeah,
who the F is that guy? You know, that's probably one of his most classic lines. You know,
exactly. Or
um,
the red panty night.
I'm
You
sure
know
there've
what
been
I mean?
some red panties sold since that.
Stay show, yeah. Well, especially off his paydays, like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you take a look at Don Cerrone. You know, Don Cerrone will probably never fight again. You know,
Mm,
he's made his money. Poirier, like, look at the money that Poirier's made off the back of him. And there's going to be more money made out the back of him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Khabib had a biggest payday as, you know, when Khabib was what was he, like 29-0 or something?
27, I think he's 26 or 27 and 0
Aye, like before that, you know, he's fighting them 26, 27 fights. He probably hadn't made as much as he made
for
up
one
until that.
fight.
Exactly.
Mm,
So you can't sit back and think, you know, how can I make that type of money? You know, how can I build my stable or my career as much as him to make that type of money? At the end of the day, like, you know, he was able to back up what he was speaking as well. People like that,
mm.
you know, and
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line. Like, you know, to be able to back it up what you speak.
Are you sort of hoping to be the next Irish boxer in a way called out by one of the Pauls? Because, you know, probably the one thing they're probably taking of this year is, you know, they've done, even though they've done Dylan a discredit, but obviously the video they put out, Dylan's social media went through the roof. You know, he's pretty much, I think his Instagram probably trebled in size.
It did, yeah. Like, but at the end of the day, like, I just don't understand it. Like, you take a look at the Pauls, right? They're every fight they've had is at 190 pounds, which is cruiserweight,
Mm,
and they're fighting guys that are friggin' as they're fighting guys that are 160, 165 pounds at most, maybe 170 pounds at most, and people are like, you know what? You can kind of see, you can kind of think, all right, if they were fighting people, even bums, as same weight, you'd be like, all right, well, every fighter does that.
mm.
You know, every fighter builds their career at the start of their career, but they don't fucking. Sorry, but they don't fight guys that are 20 kilo lighter than them. You know what I mean? Like, they're talking about Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather. I know Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest ever, but Floyd came into that McGregor fight at 149 pounds, and the
Mm-hmm.
fight was 155. Do you really think he can make anything over 155 pounds?
Probably
Whereas
not.
Logan Paul comes in at 6'2", 180 pounds.
And probably well
You
over
know,
200, probably by the time it comes to the fight.
exactly. You can you can weigh up the risks in MMA. You know what I mean? Like if you were 100, if you're 155 pounds fighting 180 pounds non MMA guy, you know the 155 pounder will just get on his back and choke him out,
Mm.
or kick him in the leg and run, kick him in the leg and run. You see a lot of them fights in Pride. Remember
Mm.
the Japanese organization. You've seen a lot of them kind of fights happening, and you even remember the Muhammad Ali wrestling match in Japan where your guy just ran over them and grabbed them in the leg and just held on them.
Hold
You
on for
know,
dear life.
exactly. But in boxing, like, if you threw Logan or Jake Paul in there with Tommy McCarthy, what? Like, do you understand what would happen?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I think they've made the thing with the Logan Paul and Mayweather. Mayweather can't weigh more than 160 pound, and Logan Paul can't weigh more than 190. And I'm not sure if that's for the weigh-in or if that's whether it's for fight night. You know,
Yeah.
but at the end difference is Mayweather will probably just toy him for a bit. He'll probably duck out of the way for his punches. You know, just sort of miss, you know, make him miss, and then probably make him pay.
But it's 30
Probably.
pound, like, you know what I mean? It's 30 pounds. Like, you know, if I had two gloves on with friggin' two 15 pound gloves on, you would feel the punch in them two 15 pound gloves on. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, that's a lot of weight to give away. You know, at the end of the day, I don't care how good you are. Like, weight is a massive factor, and it's the reason why. And it's the reason why a lot of fighters actually quit boxing because of their weight. You know, and being able to have to cut weight and stuff like that, and being too small for weights. And Like, and it's the reason why a lot, and for them to come in and kind of just walk in at whatever weight they are and fight guys that are way lighter than them. It's not only like I don't see that they're making a mockery of the sport, that they're able to kind of do well, make money off the sport. I see it in a mockery of how many people have given their blood, sweat, and tears to make weight so that both of their fighters are the same weight, and then for them just to come in and just do that, like it's that's the real disgrace that's happened. I actually don't care that that like how good they are or anything like that, because I've seen way worse fighters than them, become a professional boxer, especially here in Ireland. So that's the real mockery of the sport, that they're able to just walk in at whatever weight they are, how big they are, and they're fighting guys like Ben Askren that came in at what is 170 pounds or something like that.
171,
no,
I think it was.
Ben Askren's a big guy. Like, he came in at 191, but at the same time, like, he never fought anything above like 170 pounds.
And you could see it. You could see it in the when he's weighing in. It obviously the belly, as if he'd been on the beer for a couple of weeks.
Well, exactly. Ben Askren wasn't always the most athletic looking fella. Like, he kind of had that Marcus Maidana kind of look of him, the soft body, Brandon Rios kind of guy. That's who you'd remind you of. But at the end of the day, they're guys that you kind of have to watch out for. Them guys have a little bit of longevity in them whenever they go to fight, and have that extra bit of kind of surge, because they have that little bit of extra body fat on their body. Whereas if they're fighting, you get 2-3% body fat, like, so
crazy.
I think that's the real disgrace of it, that they're not actually professional boxers, just walking in there whatever weight they are.
You just wonder who's next. They're going to fight someday. It's a skateboarder or something like that. It's who else are going to drag in off the street.
What, I wouldn't
it's like the old journeyman. Obviously, they called, somebody was fighting, say, Daniel Dubois or whatever, say tonight, for instance, they're fighting somebody and they were no good. They would call him a bin man or whatever. Whereas, the journeyman, that's what they sort of say about them. But whereas they're actually bringing in people that aren't boxers into the sport, and people saying nothing about it, letting them get away with it.
You see in boxing, unfortunately, with boxing, and it's a massive thing with boxing, you can't win in boxing. Everything you do, you're always going to get slated. So just do what's right for your own career. And what you just said there about Daniel Dubois, he could have come back and fought absolutely nobody and got a win back on his cards. But then he was offered, obviously, people are going mad about the WBA being able to sanction him coming off a loss for a world title. But at the same time, he's coming back off a loss to fight for a world title.
WBA interim.
Yeah, like what kind of fella does, like, nobody does that. You know what I mean? Especially, what age is Daniel Dubois? What, 21 or 22?
I think he's maybe 20. I think he's probably the same age as you, 23, 24.
Is it? I thought he was younger. But like, what kind of fella comes off a loss, especially to Joe Joyce? I almost career-threatening loss as well. You know what I mean? What happened with his eye, so. And for him to come back straight back into title contention is like, that's crazy. Because Joe Joyce, or he'd probably be ranked above Joe Joyce then. You know what I mean?
You've obviously two of your gym lads out tonight in Spain. Probably here in Ireland today, it's probably the same. Well, the sun's shining, probably not as hot in Spain. So in some ways, are you jealous of Ryan and Paddy being out in Spain, enjoying the sunshine?
It is. Not really. Seeing you're out in Spain, nothing's open. It's not the same Spain as you would go to, like, when you were younger, like Spain, unfortunately, is very closed at the moment. Rightfully they are, but like they're fighting probably behind closed doors as well. You know what I mean? I think in a massive stadium, like, was it in December? There was you were only allowed like 10. There was only like 10 or 15 people allowed in the stadium. But it was like a boxing gym, like, with like seats around the outside, and everybody had to get COVID tested and stuff like that to even come into the show. But like, they're as strict as they are out there than they are here. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, shows aren't being done here, but they're strict when they are out there. And the fight in February, that was an unbelievable arena. Like that was it was kind of like the national stadium of Spain, where their amateurs will all go fight in their nationals. It was a great setup. Really, really good setup. Where was that? That was in Torrevieja.
Guadalajara Arena.
Guadalajara del Segura, something like that.
Yeah.
Guadalajara Arena.
Your Spanish is better than mine, so I was just sort of half leaving it out there for you.
Yeah, that's right. So, but it was a class. That was a class kind of. It looked like if the place was full, there would be unbelievable atmosphere. You know what I mean? So I'd love to get back there and fight again, especially in front of fans.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But Spain, like, it's not the same. Honestly, it's like just going to the back arse of nowhere in Donegal and fighting.
Or
Like
Port Rush for the day.
Exactly. You're just going over to do a job and getting home. You can't really relax, and you can't really see anything because you don't want to go out and risk getting a positive test.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because you get tested right after your weigh-in. You know what I mean? And then you get your results, obviously. But you don't want to risk, and then coming home, you have to get a PCR test again. So you don't want to risk staying 14 extra days in Spain and booking a new flight home and having to probably stay in a hotel or something like that.
Exactly.
You're taking the risk of, even if you have a false positive, you're taking the risk of 2,500 extra on top of your trip. Like,
And it's obviously tough enough with sponsorship, but without then having to go to that sort of level as well. You probably go, I'm not going to sponsor you next time around because you failed the test the last time around, cost us this, that, or the other, and your career could be over in no time.
Exactly. Unfortunately, you take them risks. And as I said earlier on that the pros outweigh the cons. Like whenever you go to something like that, you're able to propel your career on further. Like.
Mm-hmm. Definitely is. And obviously, I know I've had you on here quite a bit. I just sort of want to leave you in sort of one final thing. When are you hoping to get back out again?
I think I think it was just put up on Facebook there the other day. I think we're back in Brussels in June 19th. So that'll be good. It'll be good to get back out to Brussels. The guys out there train us very well. One boxing. Obviously Tony had fought in one of them shows in January where he fought one of Kilmer Goldrick's old foes.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully the boxing is a bit bigger.
Sterbrun.
Sterbrun, yeah. Hopefully the boxing ring's a bit bigger this time. You know what I mean? Did you see the boxing ring the last time?
It was very small last time.
Tiny, freaking tiny.
They're probably smaller than the one they use in the Devonish.
Honestly, it's probably, I think it's 14 foot on the inside. Honestly, like I would walk 2 steps out and you're in the middle of the ring. You know what I mean?
It's probably it's quite a bit smaller. It's probably trying to compare the Devonish one to the SSE Arena, because SSE Arena one's normally massive.
I know. Well, you know what? It was actually good. It was actually very good to fight in that little arena because it's the Hersel Stadium, Heysel Stadium, where the Liverpool disaster happened in 1985 between Liverpool and Juventus, and especially with me being a Liverpool fan.
We'll not hold that against you.
Well. Well, especially me being a Liverpool fan, I was able to go and pay my respects, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just literally on the stands where we were fighting in like a small gym. So it was interesting to kind of see Brussels as well. I've never been to Brussels before. Beautiful city. And all the Belgian lads kind of looked after us, and especially fighting on a card where there was 2 ABO titles up for contention as well.
Mm-hmm.
Your guy Malik Zanid as well at light heavy, and Oscar Allen.
And how many more times you started looking to get out? 4-0, probably potentially June. That'll be 5-0. How many? I guess obviously a lot will depend on what happens next with the pandemic and everything else. Sure. But how many sort of times more are you aiming to get out before the end of the year?
Well, 4-0 now, 5-0 in June. I'll be stepping up to 8 rounds now in June. So, like you see a lot of people that are kind of stay at 4 rounders for their first 4, 5, or 6 fights.
Mm.
Because I just want to kind of move in. Like, you're not really a true professional until you really step it up to like 8 or 10 rounds. So you can go and do 6 rounders in WSB or whatever like that. But real professionals, you're 8 to 10 to 12 rounders. So it's good that I'm able to step up now to 8 rounds. I'm trusting my fitness and my coaching as well for me to be able to last them 8 rounds and move on up in the 10 or 12 rounders. Like, Ryan's fighting his first 8 rounder now tonight.
Yeah.
That's like, me and Ryan had kind of sparred me for my last fight as well. And like, I was able to do 10 rounds on the trot with 3 different sparring partners.
Mm.
So like 4 rounds with Keane, 3 rounds with Ryan, and then just finish off with Victor. You know what I mean? Like, I was able to put on high pace rounds, and like, that was even me in a 6 rounder. So it was I could have done a lot more.
Mm.
So now I just took the decision to step up them 8 rounds. I'm doing 8 rounds. I'm doing more than 8 rounds in the gym. So I'm able to step it up a lot. But yeah, I'm hoping maybe hopefully if I'm injury free, like God willing, hopefully be 8-0 by the end of the year. Obviously 4 fights in 6 months, whatever. Now 4 fights now at the end of the year, and then probably June, August, October, and then maybe like December then. Just to finish out the year in a big bang and have a nice little Christmas to myself, and then get back in the gym then for the start of January, and then maybe work towards maybe a date for St. Patrick's Day or something like that somewhere. And then at that stage, we'll be going 10-0 and ready to push on for titles.
Obviously, your next fight in June, as an 8 rounder, that prepares you. Obviously, that qualifies you for the Irish titles and stuff like that as well. So it's, I guess, if opportunities come, if somebody wants to step up to the plate, and at the end of the day, you're then eligible to fight for them then as well.
Exactly, you know what I mean. Like, within the next year or two, there's going to be a lot of young kids coming through, that are going to turn pro, and they're all going to be one that kind of call somebody out, and they'll be looking at somebody around their weight, like, especially at super lightweight. A lot of the guys will be turning over 60, 63, kind of welterweight as well. It's a popular weight, so I'll be expecting it. I'll be training hard, and I'll be waiting for them all kind of coming up. And if an Irish title comes along, like, it comes along, if somebody wants to call me out, or if there's a fight there, I'll take it, if it's right for me. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to kind of move my career up to the point, like, if I turned pro at 20 years of age, where would it be now? Especially with how active I am. Like, 4 years can do a big kind of difference. It could have been 12, 13-0 by now. So I want to be kind of fighting for a title and being in the top 50 in the world or top 25 in the world in the next year. You know what I mean? And that's what Connor's doing. Like, he's constantly getting guys that are ahead of me in the rankings. If you take a look at my rankings, I've never kind of fought somebody that's been behind me. You know what I mean? I've always kind of raising it up. And I think that's what we're going to be constantly doing. I think that's the respect that you can kind of give Connor, is that he knows a lot of people, and he's able to kind of look at all the rankings and check out which fights are the best for us. He's very underrated in the fact that he's a very good matchmaker as well. Like, a very good matchmaker for a guy that never boxed. You know what I mean? Just kind of grew up boxing. He's a very good matchmaker.
Definitely is, and hopefully a lot more to come. And I say, the pandemic sort of easing, things get back to normal and everything else. But look, I think we've had you on for about well over an hour now. I think it's probably an hour and 10 minutes or so. But obviously it probably shows in a way it's 6 months, as a catch up. Like, you're not going to have you on for 10 minutes. You speak about your 4 fights since, But obviously I hope you keep enjoying the sunshine. We can obviously see it through the window there.
I'll go and get a tan, or I'll probably freckle.
Like myself. Obviously, we'll keep an eye, as we always do, on fight news and stuff coming. And obviously, thanks once again for obviously catching up with us, and we'll hopefully catch up.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, cheers.
Happy to be on.
All right, cheers.
Speak to you soon.